What is up, everybody? This is the NerdCave News, and I am one of your hosts, Zach Dykes, joined along with the most popular barista in town. With a wink and a smile, he could turn a simple coffee into a magical experience. However, one fearful morning, as he danced around his espresso machine, his charm accidentally infused the brew with a dash of real magic. Suddenly, customers found themselves floating a few inches off the ground and turning into magical creatures after sipping their lattes. Soon, the cafe became the hottest spot in town for both caffeine and magic enthusiasts. He is Felix the Brewster.
My first reaction was, first of all, welcome back. I'm happy to be back, everybody. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Because it's also been a while, because when you started reading the name, I was like, wait, I have to rank this. So let me open up this tab that says name rankings. And but when you're reading this, I'm like, this sounds like Restaurant to Another World, which is a isekai anime, which is like, just a little fun, like, hey, romp, just have creatures come from all over places and eat good, delicious food. So, but anyway, you're not here for this. You're here for the name ranking. Felix Brewster coming back, it's sad. This is April, guys, and we only have 5 names that are on the ranking board. That shows you how many episodes I've not been a part of recently because of life and work. Changing of, this is the whole reason we're doing it on Wednesdays now, because my life has been, like the Fresh Prince said, turned upside down, and I can no longer do Thursdays I have a 4 a.m. shift on Fridays. But looking at our names, number 1, sitting atop of the throne, we have Marconius Dracone, the Great Wizard, Maxwell Mindreach Stone, Captain Silverstride, Jarlin the Mason, and Kaka McGraw. While it was a very feel good and very cutesy expose, I have to give it. I'm thinking it's somewhere in the middle. And I'm going to put it at number 3.
Number 3. All right. Got us at number 3, guys. See, it wasn't, a powerful, lord or a murderer, anything like that. Nothing to like make Derek feel amazing, but Felix Brewster.
Yeah.
We're glad to have you here.
Hey, for this week, it's in the top 3 at least.
It's in the top 3. Derek, I'm glad that you're back. Or Felix Brewster, I'm glad you're back. It's been a while. Pretty much all of March.
Yeah.
We didn't have you.
No, pretty much. No, I'll say that's for reasons, like I said, with the new position, the part of the schedule. I have a set schedule, don't get me wrong, even though it's fixing to change again. But like at least my times, I don't know about my days yet, but at least my times are going to change here in the coming weeks. But I have a set schedule. I work Sunday through Tuesday and then off Wednesday and then work Thursday, Friday, which in the past has never been an issue until, that Grocery Life man, they give the other team lead off on Friday mornings, which means I have to be there at 4 a.m. to open the store. And with us going live at 7 p.m., guess who has to be in bed by that time? So it's all my fault, as usual.
Yeah, since Kevin isn't here to blame anymore, it's your fault, Derek.
I know.
It's your fault. Well, I'm glad you're back. Amy is glad you're back. And I'm sure everybody else will be glad to have you back in the saddle again. I've been missing getting to chat games and just enjoying some time together, man.
I know. Same here, bro. But shout out to Yugi601 for holding it down while I've been away. Like, he's just been a trooper, man. So big shout out to Yugi.
Yeah, 100% coming in, pitch hitting, and making it happen. Having a ton of fun with Yugi. Can't wait to have him back on in the future. Get to hang out with him. Got to hang out with Bo on Monday.
Oh, yeah.
Did Bo Knows Gamers show Monday. It was really, really good. But I am excited for us to chat and to talk because we're getting into my favorite section of the show. What you playing, Derek? What you been playing?
Been off for a month, pretty much, and come back with a disappointment because yes, I've been playing Hogwarts Legacy, but the last couple weeks haven't had a chance to play. What with all the different things going on, because your boys had to been staying overtime. Well, I haven't been getting overtime, but I've had to work long days, and then I get home and I just feel like watching some animes, and then poop out because I tired, boss. I'm tired. But I did finish watching Attack on Titan, the entire like watching the final episode before Funimation shut down. RIP. It stopped. Just merged with Crunchyroll officially on Tuesday. So now it'll be watching my animes on Crunchyroll.
Well, Derek, I'm ashamed of you.
I know.
Had a month to play.
I know. I
You
did
know?
some of that time. I just haven't played in the last couple weeks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Don't me. What have you been playing, Zach?
I played Princess Peach Showtime yesterday, and it is quite delightful.
I bet. It is a Showtime.
It is a Showtime. Like, it is. I played 4. Hold on. I played 6 different levels.
Oh,
so
wow.
6 different power-ups or costumes, essentially. So I fought one of the main bosses already.
Okay.
And the game is extremely easy.
Okay.
Essentially, you have 2 like buttons. One's jump, and then one is your attack or whatever.
Yeah.
So the combat is really easy, but I was thinking about it this morning, and I was like, okay, it is super simple. It's more of a kid's game and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get down to it, it's supposed to be a stage play.
Correct.
So with Peach like being like these, super powerful, whatever, either a ninja or a swordsman, the hero of the story, essentially, they're going to be OP. That's kind of how I started thinking about it. And it's like, it makes more sense with them being overpowered and kind of taking things out in one hit. But the game is really, really fun. It's really well done. The graphics are really crisp. The thing that I'm really enjoying about the game is the depth of the stages that you're on.
Ooh.
The ninja stage, really, really interesting because like you are hiding in the bushes and are hiding in the grass, and to show you that you're in the grass where someone can't see you, she'll like hold up these 2 paddles with like grass in front of her.
So Metal Gear.
Yeah, essentially. And then like you can hide on a wall and you're holding up a sheet. You can still see your hair or whatever.
Right, of course.
But like it blends in with the wall, and as you move, it changes like whatever's behind you will like visually show in front of you everything.
Yeah.
But there was substitution jutsu that was shown in there. So there was a lot of nods to Naruto. Another thing is like you could jump in the water and then you're holding like a bamboo shoot and breathing out the bamboo shoot.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and you could hide in pots. Like it's all of these like little things, and that's just the ninja one.
Yeah.
I played as a cowboy, which was really fun. You had like a lasso. I played as a figure skater. I played as a cook. I will say the cook mini game that they had in there, probably the hardest thing in the game.
And, oh, wow. It took you back to your Overcooked days, right?
Yeah, like, well, it's like these cakes are spinning and you're having to do this pretty intricate design.
Right.
And it's like, this is supposed to be a kid's game. You know what I mean? Like, it was the first time I had done it, so I'm sure the second time or whatever it'd be a little bit easier. But it was actually kind of difficult. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the game. Again, it is super simple, but it's just fun. And I think that's the biggest thing is like this is supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be Elden Ring or anything like that.
Right. And I know all of us, like, me, Yugi, Falcon, all of us have been excited for this game. So, and I know it came out to like somewhat mixed reviews. I know the biggest issue was the graphical detail on it. Now, I guess it depends on what version you're running it. Like if you're running it in handheld, all that kind of stuff. And not everyone has the same experience, mind you. But, I know it came out to mixed reviews somewhat. Still had an overall solid score. But I'm glad you're enjoying it. Glad you're getting a lot of out of it. But I do have a question. So I forget the mascot's name, but we had Cappy and Mario, Super Mario. What was it?
Odyssey.
Odyssey. Thank you. And I know this one, she had the ribbon that was her
Yeah.
magical companion.
Stella.
Stella. Thank you. Which one is more useful? I should say. Compare the two. Which one's more useful? Which one, I guess, is a better companion?
So in Odyssey, you actually use Cappy.
Okay.
Stella just kind of follows you and gives you hints.
Oh, so
She's
Navi.
Yeah, she's not like an active thing, like your attacks or whatever are not powered by her.
Okay.
So Cappy is a way more useful companion in that regards, because like you'll start a level, you'll play a little bit, like you've got like a ribbon essentially that you can attack and like bring light sparkle to the world.
Okay.
And then you'll get to a certain part of the stage play and you will get your costume for that play. I haven't played any repeat because you'll have different ones that come up again, like the cowboy one will come up again. Each one of them will have multiple parts of the play that you'll go through and everything. So I haven't played a repeat, so I don't know if like you start and it will be automatically you in the costume or not.
Oh, okay. Huh.
So I haven't experienced that part yet, but yeah, Cappy, because you could attack with Cappy, you could, take over someone's body with Cappy and everything. That's and with Odyssey, again, Odyssey was a much bigger game than this is. This is clearly like the end of the life cycle kind of game.
Yeah.
Cappy, you could play 2-player with. So Amy
True.
could play as Amy played as Cappy, I played as Mario. We played through Odyssey together and everything. And Amy said that was a little disappointing not having more of an active companion. And it's like Stella's there, she's giving you hints and different things, but she's not actively fighting. So
cool. Okay, so, and I mean, that's fine because, I guess they wanted to do something a little different, because if they just did a rinse and repeat with Cappy, everyone would be like, oh, why did you just copy and paste Mario Odyssey?
Yeah.
But I do like, how, because it sounds like from whatever I read, because, the whole controversy, and Nintendo is being, like Tim Geddes quotes, weird Nintendo decisions. They've been very cagey about a lot of stuff lately, like who would voice Mario in the new Mario Wonder game. And now they're cagey about who develops what games, because they don't want them to face backlash. I mean, let's be fair. You're going to face back. I get it too, because this is the people who did Yoshi's Woolly World, or Yoshi's Crafted World, like the Feel Good Inc. And they're good for they're known for doing just solid good games, not fantastic games, but they still put out solid games.
Yeah.
And to one extent, I agree with it. To the other extent, it's like you're going to face backlash no matter if you tell the people or not. You know what I mean? So plus, there's going to be a data miner who's going to uncover it anyway before you officially unveil it. But Nintendo's going to do Nintendo. They're still successful as a company. They're still making money, So, I mean, obviously, they have a formula that works. But my other question is because I've heard a lot about the level design, like the costumes, like the gameplay of it, but I haven't, and I know a lot of like Mario World games are not known for their story. It's usually like the Mario-centric games that have a pretty good story behind them, but like the spinoffs like Luigi or Toad or, whatnot, are not really there. It's more for the gameplay. Would you agree that Princess Peach is more for the gameplay and the experience more than like the storytelling?
It's pretty thin on the story. I will say that. It's like Peach gets a letter inviting her to come to this show, and she goes to the show, and then this villain shows up called Mistress Grape or something like that. I don't even remember. Like, it's literally was like a split second.
Yeah.
And then like everything's locked down. They knock the toads out, and there's this new kind of like they're called teeth, or not, they don't look like teeth, but that's kind of what they're Teeth. I have no idea. Anyway, they're like little yellow things with like essentially like bulbs, like light bulbs for noses.
Interesting.
So the story is pretty thin on like the overall, but it's like it's setting up some interesting things. But yeah, it's not, I feel like Luigi's Mansion has way more of a story than this does.
That's fair.
But I think it's enough because it's more about the experience on this game, 100%. But I'm enjoying it. I think it's a solid game. They're like the graphical things, like when it's a cutscene or you're in the stages, it's much crisper.
Right.
When you are like in the theater, like outside of it, I feel like the graphics are a little bit lacking in that
Okay.
area.
Okay.
But like when you're actually playing the things that you care about, it's pretty crisp.
Huh.
And there is customization as well. Like you can change like what Peach's dress looks like.
Oh.
So you could have different patterns, different things. You can get different ribbons for Stella. So
That's cool.
So there is like a level to it. It's like you're using the coins that you gather. There's secret rooms that you find in each level. So it's like there's and then you also get essentially like the moons or the stars.
Yeah.
I feel like this game is way more Mario 64 than it is like Odyssey, because it's like there's doors and there's even like a basement part where I feel like is going to be later on where it's going to be more of the challenge rooms or whatever.
Right.
So there is depth here, but the gameplay aspect is pretty easy though.
Okay. So, well, good to know. Like, I know you've been excited for this game for a while. I know you were blown away with it when they first unveiled it. So I'm glad you're enjoying it. I do have to ask though, on the other side, because I know it's not going to be your game of the year contender.
Yeah.
But there has been a little game that came out on your birthday that you were playing religiously on, Helldivers 2. I haven't heard you talk about it in a long time. Now, you may not, I may have just been missing it, but has it gone the Diablo 4 route where you're just going to be so time consumed with it, you're afraid you're not going to play anything else, that you've kind of shelved it for a little bit?
I feel like I have shelved it a little bit. Like I'll jump on every now and then, but I had like totally stopped playing Sea of Stars, and 2 weeks ago I was like, okay, I'm not gonna play Helldivers until I finish Sea of Stars. And I jumped back in. I was like, man, I really missed this game. And there's also like, I love Helldivers. Helldivers is a ton of fun. I'm not knocking it. Like the shadow drop of the update that they did today is absolutely insane. Like what they've added in there, like the AT kind of vehicle that they've put in the automatons is freaking scary. Like I'd be pooping my pants. I literally before the show, I saw somebody on TikTok post a clip and I'm like, holy moly, that's like 10 times worse than a Bile Titan. So it's like, okay, this is very interesting. But it's like when I would play on the weekends or even on Tuesday nights, it was like, okay, I understand the game loop is you're just a cog in the machine. It's like little percentages and everything. And I didn't feel like I was making a huge impact. And I know that's part of the game loop and everything. And it's more about going on the missions and that sort of deal. I understand that. But it's like at the end of the day, when I finish a 2-3 hour game session, unless I'm playing with people, because a lot of times I'm not getting to play with people that I know.
Right.
And it's like, man, I could have spent this on a game that has a story. I could have spent this like learning, doing something else or whatever. And the game is amazing. It's so fun.
Yeah.
But it's like, at the end of the day, I want to play something that yeah, exactly. And again, the systems are there. They're updating the game. They're adding stuff all the time to it, which is great. But I feel like when I jump back in Sea of Stars, I'm like, man, this is what I've been missing.
Yeah.
And dude, Sea of Stars, ooh, man, it just keeps twisting and turning. And I am like, I'm here for this. I'm here for this. And I'm like, what other games that are like this that I've been missing? And I know not everything is going to have the same combat style, which is not necessarily like the big selling factor for me, but it is the story. Like the story is really good. So I feel like I'm a little bit more open to games that look like that.
Yeah.
And it's like the puzzles, it's just every part of it is so well designed and thought out, and the characters, Dude, there was a reveal, and I was like, I was not expecting this. Like a big reveal, and I can't talk about it right now, but oh man, it was so good. It was very, very good.
That's good. I'm glad you've gotten to experience taking a break because I know you were hot and heavy in Helldivers for like a month straight. So I'm glad you're getting to branch out a little bit and experience some stuff. Even though Helldivers 2 is actually one of the few live service games that is done right.
Exactly. And I'm going to play more of it. Like this update does make it seem a little bit more interesting, a little bit fresher stuff in there. So that did make me like seeing that. I was like, oh, that's scary, but I want to fight that. I want to fight one of these things.
I do like how, because I do see people like tweet or like they tweet like, or like, you know, the PlayStation account will tweet out like narrative type updates or like for like events and be like, all right, now that you've reclaimed this territory, here's what's coming down now. And it almost feels like some of these like isekai anime that I watch that, you know, when they're playing like MMO online games and all of a sudden they beat an event and then it's like, all right, they unlock the next event. And it's like, okay, even though it's not an MMO, it's giving you these narrative adventures to keep you coming back for more.
Yeah. And they do it really well. And there's an account on TikTok that I follow. It's called SEB News. Like Super Earth Broadcast News. Yeah. And every day they were like multiple times a day, but now it's like once a day. They'll give like the update to the war effort and everything. And it feels like a news thing. And it's like, oh, you know, like we need Helldivers here, but like they present it like it's, you know, like a war, you know, like we would be watching like a news thing. And like every time it comes up, like I'll be watching it. And then Amy's like, she'll think that it's like actual like war updates or whatever.
That's true.
And she was like, I keep forgetting that's the channel or whatever. So
for democracy.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to get back into it, but I want to have some people to play with because a lot of the times when I have been playing, it's just been me with a bunch of randos, and that it's fun to a certain degree, but it's not the same as like jumping in with a bunch of people and playing. Yeah.
Get that scrub Murdoch to come back and play.
Murdoch's always playing, but he's never playing when I'm playing. That's the problem. It's like I'll get on and I'll play for like 3 hours, and as soon as I get off, Murdoch's getting on. I'm like, whatever.
Hey, I can't. You know what? I take it back. He's not a scrub because he actually chose a good game over not Sea of Thieves, Skull and Bones. So I have to give him. His credibility has gone up in my eyes for that sole decision.
Yep. Well, Derek, this week in gaming, we say goodbye to an old friend. Ubisoft doubles down on Prince of Persia, and Gearbox wants to be just like all the other crappy companies. Because this is the NerdCave News, and this episode is brought to you by the Epic Game Store, where you could support us by going and using our creator code NerdCave at checkout. Even on the free stuff, it helps us out a ton. And we're also brought to you by Coffee Brain Coffee and our wonderful patrons, but more about that later. First up on the gaming discussion, manipulate the elements in the Eternal Standards, Yellow Brick Games' debut action adventure title.
It's Eternal Strands, not Standards, but you know, it is what it is. So we have a trailer that we'll watch here in a minute. Or do we want to go ahead and watch this right now?
I don't care.
Go ahead and play it first. Let's check it out. Then we'll talk about
Derek being over here. See, y'all see what we've been missing? Derek trying to run everything.
You said I gave you the option, and you said I don't care. So I'm making a decision.
All right, here we go, guys. Let's check out elements in Eternal Strands. Eternal Strands. Is that what it is? Just Eternal Strands?
Yeah, Eternal Stranding.
Yeah, Death Stranding, guys. Let's watch the trailer for Death Stranding.
And not understand what's going on.
Okay.
This gives like a lot of Immortals Phoenix Rising vibe.
Yeah. Oh.
All right.
some
Shadow of the
Colossus.
Colossus.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I do like that. That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
That dude's head's on fire.
If you stab him, you get to unlock the map point, like Horizon.
Okay.
Huh. Uh-oh. Cthulhu?
Ooh, dragons. Dragons.
It's a dragon. So
It looks pretty cool.
yeah, it does. It gives, like I said, Immortal Phoenix Rising vibes, but with a little bit better. What was that mediocre Square Enix Magic game that was exclusive to PlayStation that came out last year? It had the girl from that was brought over from
gosh, what is that? It's like
with the weird dialogue where she's
yeah.
where she's like saying awkward stuff and cursing every other word.
Gosh, what was that? It was Square Enix, right?
Yeah, Square Enix.
Magic game. I'm trying to remember the
Forspoken. Forspoken, okay, because I know it was one word. I almost said Avowed. I'm like, nope, I'm not going to do Obsidian wrong like that.
Yeah, Forspoken. This is definitely like more stylized. It has that like
it looks like the magic is done better than Forspoken.
Yeah, like the traversal in Forspoken looked pretty dope, but
right.
it definitely feels like how the Prince of Persia game, that style, it feels like
not Forgotten Sands, Lost Crown.
Yeah, Lost Crown. So it looks pretty cool. Derek, jump in and tell us a little bit more if the people didn't catch it all in the trailer.
So in this fantasy action adventure, you play as Bryn, a powerful warrior known as a Weaver, on a quest to uncover the secrets of the Enclave. The game's unique system revolves around manipulating the elements and temperature to your advantage. Bryn wields a magical cloak called the Mantle, which allows her to channel magic and control the elements. Explore a reactive world where you can harness weather events like flash freezes and heat waves to create bridges and start fires. Take on gigantic enemies called arcs and use various strategies such as shattering their armor or pinning them down with ice. The world of Eternal Strands is densely packed with secrets, encouraging players to explore and interact creatively with the environment, and it is set to release in 2025 on the PS5, Series X and S, and PC.
Like, it's got some really cool elements. The Shadow of the Colossus kind of scaling the enemies, the freezing the enemies in place and everything. My biggest thing is, will this move the needle?
Correct, because I don't know what else Yellow Brick has done. I know this is like their debut game, and I know they're especially, I think, because you're seeing sort of a shift with a lot of like games media coverage, because I know was it PlayStation Universe and IGN are talking about more of these, like, because I know you brought it up. I guess you were kind of like not first on the scene, but one of those early adopters of, we're going to see more AA stuff, like not super huge, because as we see in the midst of all these layoffs and studio closures, that AAA games are going to be a while, even longer to make than beforehand, especially with the budget and how long it takes to create them with the engines. And now, so we're going to see a bunch of these AA studios rise up and fill in those voids for a lot of this weight. I think a lot of games media is realizing that, and now they want to showcase games like this off, where it's like, hey, you like the Immortals, if you like Shadow of the Colossus, if you like elements from these other games, then check out this one that might speak to your fancy.
Yeah, and we are a big proponent of AA games and indie games. I know Yellow Brick Games is made up of veteran AAA developers, so it's not some upstart kind of company. It is actual people that have been in part of the industry for quite some time.
Correct.
They've made their own company, which is very interesting how a lot of developers that have been part of I know one of the founders of Rockstar has left and founded their own games. Ken Levine founded his own studio.
Yeah.
So it's like we're seeing a lot of like higher profile people going and starting their own studios in the last few years, because I think they have gotten so tired of how publishers have treated the developers. And it's like, okay, we can make a game, we could publish it, go through all the rigmarole, because we've already done this before, and not have these publishers on top of them like, oh, you gotta put microtransactions in, you gotta do all of that. It's like, this game, I don't feel like we're gonna get microtransactions.
No.
You know, and
maybe
not, maybe not, I don't know. But the thing that I love, the games that have stood out to me, Vinba, story-based, super small game, no microtransactions, didn't feel like they were coming after my money. Cocoon, Sea of Stars, like all of these are really, really great ways of playing games and a good story, and they're very contained. Jacent is another one. I need to go back and finish it. There's one that is coming out in a little while. I think we're going to talk about it later. I'm not 100% sure. But Harry Halibut it's like this stop motion game. I don't think we're going to talk about it.
No.
But it's coming to Game Pass, which I'm super, super excited for.
Okay.
So it's like we don't have to have all of this. And you know, Arrowhead, to Murdoch's point, it's like, unless you're Arrowhead is seeing success now, but they weren't expecting it.
No.
You know, they were not expecting it at all. And I think we're going to see a lot more of this. And that's fine, because when we've had really good games, think about the beginning of PlayStation 4.
Right.
We didn't have a ton of first party games.
It was 3 years into the life cycle before we actually got a huge like AAA game. That was Uncharted 4. Because all the rest of it, like the AAA games we got, were ports or remakes.
Yeah. So it's like, I feel like that's where we're kind of at in this weird limbo cycle with everything. And all the layoffs have definitely hurt that.
Yeah.
So speaking of layoffs, let's jump into our second story of the night. Gearbox suffers employee layoffs following the Embracer sell.
So last week, Embracer Group sold Gearbox software to Take-Two for $460 million. Shortly after the sale, some Gearbox employees announced on social media that they had been let go from the company. Gearbox has confirmed the layoffs, but they state that they had affected employees are not tied to the development of upcoming games. The exact number of employees affected by the layoffs has not been disclosed by Gearbox. Even though they've not been tied to it, like there could be a bunch of Q&A testers and whatnot, it still sucks. Like, like it's no layoffs are no fun, and like the fact that they didn't want to disclose the number is, you know, it could be even if it was like 10 employees, it's like it compared to how much, you know, because I know you talked about it a few weeks ago when I made the doc. I wasn't part of it, but it's crazy to think on like how many layoffs that start, because you know it was pretty much like July, August when they started tracking the number of layoffs, right? It's crazy to think that back just a couple like beginning of March, we had already met or maybe exceeded the total of number of layoffs that was at the end of 2023.
Yeah,
and it was so, and we're not even halfway through the year.
Yeah, we had 10,000 layoffs. Last year. We were at 8,000 by like mid-February, early March.
Yeah. So, and it's not even like I said, it's not even halfway through the year. So we've got plenty of time left to pretty much quadruple that number, unfortunately.
Yeah, and to Amy's point, why do companies think layoffs are the answers to everything? And it's a quick Band-Aid fix. GameStop is doing it too. You know, they've been doing it for years. You know,
right? I mean, dude, like when I read that article, I'm just like, good. Like it sucks for those employees. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just like, for the corporate overlords, I'm just like, good. This is what you get. For trying to do Bitcoin and NFTs.
Yeah, and to this, it's like, okay, Embracer Group sold Gearbox to Take-Two, $460 million.
Yeah.
The people that are part of Gearbox is not seeing that. That is Embracer getting that money and everything. And I think, not knowing how many people got laid off. A lot of this could be redundancies kind of stuff, where it is HR people or payroll people, that sort of thing, where Take-Two already has that established within their company. People are going to be getting, new HR reps, new counts payable, like all of that is going to change because they're being taken over by a much larger publisher. And it still stinks because that is people's jobs. And it just gets me every week. And this is not the only one that we talk about tonight, but every week there's more and more layoffs within the gaming industry while they still keep making more and more money. And then they just complain, oh, well, we're not making enough. We're not making enough.
Okay, whatever. You mean you're not making enough to buy a fourth vacation home is what you're really saying.
Yeah, and it goes back to, I remember when the Wii U was doing so poorly.
Yeah.
And the head of Nintendo took a huge pay cut.
Yup.
So no one would lose their job at Nintendo.
Correct.
And I know that it's a cultural thing and all of that, but it's like when leaders don't lead, they pass the buck to the employee. Well, it's your fault, or it's the consumer's fault because they're not buying, they're not this. And it's like, what more do you want? You want all of our time and you want all of our money, but it's like, if we don't go to work, guess what? We don't have money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, you can't get all of that. And there's a cap on these things, and stockholders, shareholders only want more because they've seen this crazy boost, during COVID and all of that. And it's like, people are back to work. The government's not handing out checks every day.
Nope.
You know what I mean? It's like,
I mean, heck, where they're even forcing, like, if you're a rock star, you're forcing people to come back to the office, which is creating a whole buzz.
Yeah. So I know this is not the only one, but it still stinks, and our thoughts and prayers go out to them. But a little bit of good news. Yeah, I think good news. Dead Cells dev Evil Empire is reportedly making a Prince of Persia roguelike game,
which is very interesting when I read this today. So Evil Empire is a spin-off studio of Motion Twin, the original developers of Dead Cells, and is reportedly working on a new Prince of Persia game for Ubisoft. The project has been in development for around 4 years and is expected to release in early access later this year. The new Prince of Persia game is said to have a roguelike gameplay style, adding a fresh take to the beloved franchise. The art style of the game is said to be inspired by Franco-Belgian comics, promising a visually captivating experience. While there hasn't been any official confirmation from Ubisoft or Evil Empire, the reports from Insider Gaming suggest that the project is indeed in the works. With Evil Empire no longer supporting Dead Cells, fans are eagerly anticipating what their next project will be, and a new Prince of Persia game would certainly be exciting. This is interesting, interesting on two fronts. It's interesting for Prince of Persia because we've had the over behind the back 3D action game. We've had the 2D 2.5D action game like we just saw with Lost Crown.
Yep.
And now, and Ubisoft likes to innovate with their games, and a roguelite would thinking about it, it would pretty much benefit Prince of Persia, because if you add like the time dagger, like saying, oh, this run, I don't want to end this run yet. I've really built up my character really well. Yeah. And you have that, that ace in the hole type deal to like rewind time to redo it again so you don't lose that build. That would be cool to see. Mm-hmm. But it's also interesting on Ubisoft's front, because outside of collabing with Nintendo, we really don't see them let other people work on titles that they own. Like, they may do collabs and whatnot, but they don't just they're not doing it's, Marvel, or like I know Lucasfilm a few years ago said, all right, we're going to start handing out Marvel and Star Wars property rights to studios that actually can do a good job with these franchises that we want to do, not just pretty much lock or handcuff ourselves to one studio and then put out mediocre titles most of the time. Yeah. But it's interesting that Ubisoft is doing this. Now I'd like to know if they're just trying something new, or if they are worried that, hey, we might have to, because they're not excused from the layoffs, and I know they're having some business issues behind the scenes too. So I wonder if this is a way to like see, all right, let's see if we can get some of these other studios working on it. So that way, if we go under, our franchise is still out there.
I don't know if it's necessarily going under or anything like that. I kind of think of like Larian with Baldur's Gate. We talked about that a lot last week.
Yeah.
With them, essentially renting the IP to develop a game.
That's true.
And the IP holder is getting a large share of that revenue. So it's less of a commitment on Ubisoft's side to have this developer create a game. They've already got a proven track record with Dead Cells as a roguelike. And then with the early access, I don't know if Dead Cells did this, but I know Hades did the early access kind of route and did a lot of that to kind of flesh out more of the game and everything. But one thing that Evil Empire or Motion Twin did with Dead Cells is they constantly put out more content, more and more content for Dead Cells. So the style is also very interesting. If y'all don't know what the Franco-Belgian comic style is, think of like Tintin. That is the style that they're trying to use for this game. So it's very, very interesting take. I was not expecting them to go with that kind of look, but I think it will make it stand out. I'm wondering if it's going to be like cell shaded and everything, but I think Ubisoft is seeing as like, okay, we've got to do something a little different here. We've got to kind of expand ourselves out, because I just remember this. They're doing a ton of Assassin's Creed right now.
Good point. Yeah, true.
They're doing a ton of Assassin's Creed. So, let's reach out to a developer that we know can make good games and let them use our IP. We get a percentage of it while we focus on Assassin's Creed.
Right.
It's kind of a win-win.
That's true. They get the time to devote to Assassin's Creed, and like you said, they still get a good chunk of change from whatever sales they make. And the fact that they've already been working on it for 4 years is crazy. So
yeah. Which means it's like it's ready. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's ready
It'll
to
probably
go.
be their summer fall game this year.
Yeah, and having 2 Prince of Persia games in 1 year, do you think that is going to be an issue?
I think so, but also if they because Lost Crown came out to positive reception.
Yep.
And then if this game hits, then I think they're going to try and maybe. I want to again. This may be a twofold thing. It'll either reinvigorate them and like make fans forget how bad that Sands of Time remake was, or if Ubisoft says, "Oh, this is the Prince of Persia game that fans want," they might just nix the remake altogether.
Yeah, and if the game does well, because there are fans of roguelites, especially, I'm wondering if it's going to be like Hades, where it's that kind of top-down roguelike.
Yeah.
Instead of like a Returnal roguelike.
Yeah.
So only time will tell on this, but I think that this is a very interesting step for Ubisoft. I think it is a good play. It really is. It's a more safe play than them just constantly going after Assassin's Creed, because we're about to get to that point where we're hitting syndicate levels where people are tired of Assassin's Creed.
Especially if they do that one that you just constantly do updates for every year. You know what I mean? Like Nexus, I think it's what it's called or whatever it is. So
yeah, it's going to be like their hub essentially. Yeah. So it's going to be like their Fortnite, and then you have to buy add-ons and everything. So
Infinity, that's what it was. Assassin's Creed Infinity. Nexus is the VR game.
Is it? I thought Unity is the one I'm thinking of. That's the French one. So guys, if you need a little pick-me-up right now, you can't wait for some Prince of Persia from Evil Empire, you can get some coffee brand coffee right now. You can get some delicious coffee. It's quality. It's got no gimmicks, no politics, and it has nearly 4,000 reviews, and it has most of them are 5 out of 5. You can get 12 coffee blends, 12 organic teas, 3 hot cocoa flavors, and you can try out cold brew and K-cups available. There's also a brewers club where you get a special it's a subscription essentially, where you can get a special blend every month if you're part of the brewers club and everything.
Nice.
So y'all should check that out if you're interested, because freshness is guaranteed with this, because when you put your order in, they are going to roast it right then and right there. It's not sitting on the shelves. It's not getting stale like that Folgers in your cup, guys. So elevate your coffee experience right now with some Coffee Brand coffee and use code NerdCave at checkout or the link in the description to get 5% off your order today. Moving on to our fourth discussion tonight. Certain Affinity says it's struggling to find new work and announces layoffs.
It's like, we can't find work, so we got to let you go, guys. Sorry. So Certain Affinity is the co-developer of Halo Infinite, recently announces layoffs affecting 25 U.S.-based staff members. This marks the first time in the company's 17-plus year history that layoffs have occurred. CEO Max Hoberman explained that the layoffs are due to an industry-wide slowdown in funding for new lead and co-development projects. Third-party investors' reluctance to fund games or game companies has made it difficult for Certain Affinity to secure new work. The layoffs primarily impact the teams responsible for the studio's business operations. Despite the layoffs, Certain Affinity is providing severance pay and benefits continuation to those affected. The company is also ensuring that vested awards under the stock equity plan can still be accessed by employees in the future. So, nice little, feather in the cap at the end, that this is actually now, obviously, not everyone announces what they're doing for employees that are let go, but at least this is something done right where they're still taking care of employees that are affected. But, it's it is concerning, because when a huge company like this, now you could say it's not funding, but it's like, all right, also Halo Infinite, they sat on the pot too long and let seasons gestate for way too long, and then didn't fix issues that were, there's a whole plethora of things. I know you could go into a diatribe about, Zach, because I know you were hot and heavy in Halo Infinite and then they disappointed you. But it's the fact that, it's gone almost, 20 years and they're now hitting layoffs is a sign of the times. Yeah. And, talking about third-party investors' reluctance to fund game or game companies, again, I think this is a tie into Halo Infinite. If before Infinite, like even before Halo 4, you probably wouldn't have been people would have thrown money at, Bungie and Certain Affinity and all those people, because it's like they were doing good work. But now you get into where they're making mediocre games. Now, whether it's neither here nor there what the behind the scenes politics were with what they were forced to put in their game and whatnot. But I find it hard to believe that third parties' reluctance to fund games is an issue for a company of that size. Now, if it was for Arrowhead, right, I could probably see that, before Helldivers 2 took off the way it did. But I don't know. I can kind of see it, but I also kind of figure it's like, well, if you're a big studio, you're a known commodity, you should be able to get funding if need be.
Yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword on this, because Certain Affinity has, I'm looking at their website over here, and they have been working with Halo since Halo 2.
Yeah. So
they've been part of this for quite some time.
Correct.
And I think that's an interesting kind of take on everything. Yeah. They've worked on the Master Chief Collection, with Saber Interactive. I think they've been a lot more on the map design for some of the older games.
Yeah.
Combat Evolved Anniversary Mode, Defiant Pack for Reach. So it's very interesting when you get down to, they've also worked on Call of Duty, World of Tanks, Hearthstone, which I haven't heard of that in a long time.
Yeah.
Hogwarts Legacy, which is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
They've been part like this. Like, you look at the amount of
Left 4 Dead,
Doom
2016,
Crackdown 3, New World. Like, they've been part of a lot of franchises,
right?
So it's when I get down to it is you look at this and you think, wow, okay, this company has made a lot of, stuff for different games,
Right.
but it's like if developers are taking longer, they're not putting more money, into development and all of that. And it's like,
Right.
okay, we're just got to use our company, it's like we got to use the people we got here. We can't be, handing it out to other third party developers to do certain parts. Is like we got to do it all in house. And it's like I understand that. Being in the film world, it's like sometimes you've got the budget to bring on a bunch of people and you have a
Yep.
big shoot. And then 9 times out of 10, though, your budget is nothing and you've got to shoot with whatever you've got
Correct.
right then and there, so you just kind of make do and everything. For this company to go 17 years, though, without layoffs is quite large. And when the layoffs are primarily impacting people responsible for the business operations, it still stinks. It's people losing jobs in the games industry. I will say you can go to their careers page and you can scroll down. They're hiring for designers.
Right.
So it's like they're not necessarily like not hiring people,
Right.
but it's like they're trying to make room for people that can actually design games.
Yeah.
So if they were getting rid of like actual developers, that would be a little bit different.
Correct.
So it still stinks. We hate layoffs here. But when it comes down to it, it's 25 people, which I hope they are able to find a place at either another company. If it's like office staff, I feel like that's a little bit easier to get a job than a game developer.
Right.
Because you can get plugged into a company pretty easy. But it still stinks. I hate it. I hate reading the stories. Derek, stop putting these on here. Stop letting people lose their job, Derek. This is up to you.
Oh wow!
This is your fault.
So they don't lose their job till I post the article. They just find out after the fact.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah, it's all your fault, guys. Let's move into PlayStation news. As he walks out the door, he gets tripped. He gets hit with a chair. The Stone Cold music goes off. The gong, all of that. Jim Ryan thinks that the PS5 is set up to be the most successful PlayStation yet.
First off, while he did do some good work in his early years, at this point, all I gotta say to Jim Ryan is, don't let the door hit you with a good Lord split you. So, according to Ryan, the PS5 is positioned to become PlayStation's most successful console across multiple aspects. Strong sales forecasts, record-breaking software sales, and the inclusion of PC players is the PlayStation ecosystem. The PlayStation ecosystem contribute to the positive outlook. Ryan's tenure at PlayStation saw the restructuring of studios and the introduction of live service games, which had mixed results. While the PS5's success can be attributed to Ryan's leadership, some argue that it has become predictable and lacks the unique experiences PlayStation was once known for. Ryan's advice to his successor and future CEOs emphasized the importance of continuing to entertain, delight, and surprise the gaming community. Bring Shuhei back.
Yeah, I want Shu. He's full of grace. He knows how to entertain, delight, and surprise.
Yes.
He knows how to do all three of those. I am so thankful that this day is finally here, Derek.
I know.
This day is finally
Ding dong,
here.
the witch is dead.
And the part where it's like some argue that it has become predictable and lacks the unique experiences PlayStation was once known for. It's because of the leadership that he has had. He has been a businessman and not a creative. That is where we're at. And I think that is a huge...
Sean Layden was a creative, so...
Yeah, Sean Layden, Jack Tretton. Like, you look at all of that, and it's like, there was times it's like, what is PlayStation doing? It's like, y'all are really creative, but y'all are like almost to the level of Nintendo making weird decisions over there. But at least it was making something interesting. But then we got restructuring. We're closing a bunch of studios.
Yeah.
We're folding them in, or we're just letting them go. And then we're getting live services. And it's like, nobody wants that.
No.
Nobody wants that.
I mean, like, yes, you can say it was unfair for them to just be like a virtual reality studio, but when London Studio, like, they made a great hit in Blood and Truth. Like, it was arguably one of the better PSVR 1 games that was out there in the wild, and I feel like they were somewhat of a pretty talented studio, and it's just like, nah, guys, we're just going to close you. And I kind of figured it was coming, because when they hadn't put out a game since Blood and Truth, I'm like, something's going to happen to them. And, you talked about it a few weeks ago, but they finally did close them. And it's like, man, I hate it. Like, because, there were some talented people there. Maybe they'll get hired into other studios, and yet you still keep Media Molecule around.
Yeah. Well, it's like you got Media Molecule, but London Studios announced like 4 or 5 months ago a new project, had concept art, had a trailer and everything.
Yeah.
And it looked pretty interesting. It was going to be live service, which fit into the model. Yeah. I don't know why Jim Ryan wasn't, jonesing for it over there. Right. But again, we get things that stay around that clearly are underperforming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I don't want Media Molecule to go anywhere. I want them to make something. But then you got Sony Bend, like we talked about it last week. I think they're working finally on something. But it's like we just constantly get weird stuff happening over at PlayStation. Yeah. It feels like a lot of mismanagement. And this was all under Jim Ryan's tenure. Yeah, it's like, all right, bye. You know what I mean?
Get some fresh blood in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Or it don't have to be fresh. It's got to be good. You know what I mean? Got to be full of grace. Got to be full of grace. There's rumors swirling, though, over at the PlayStation Studios. Rumor has it that a PlayStation showcase has been set for May. Silent Hill 2 remake likely to appear out of the fog.
Right. April just started, and we're already looking forward to May. According to a rumor from Giant Bomb journalist Jeff Grubb, which, again, this man has not missed in the last calendar year. Whenever he's reported that like a big showcase or an event is about to happen, it happens. Sony is planning to host a PlayStation event, either a state of play or a showcase in May. The highlight of this event is speculated to be highly anticipated Silent Hill 2 remake. With the remake being developed by Bloober Team for both PlayStation and PC. The game was officially announced in October of 2022, confirming the revival of the beloved franchise. Recent ratings by the ESRB suggest that the release date of Silent Hill 2 remake might be revealed soon. Considering Sony's previous major event, the January State of Play, it's not surprising that they would want to follow up with another event in May. And I think, like, even though a release date is soon, I think I put it in one of the docs last week or 2 weeks ago that it's slated for end of 2024. So it's going to be like their big fall title. But regardless of, when it launches, like, it seems like Silent Hill 2 remake is going to be in the cards. And it seems like just like Spider-Man 2 was last year, it's going to be their big game, PlayStation's big game of the year going forward. My thing is, though, do you think, like, first question is like, do you think this will be a state of play or a showcase? And depending on which one, do you think we'll see other announcements? Like, do you think they'll just focus on games for this year, or do you think they'll tease more about, if it's a showcase, do you think they tease more for this year and 2025 and beyond?
So your first question, I feel like it will be a state of play if they are smart, just because they don't have a lot to show. They've already came out and said that, the next major release is going to be early 2025 for, the first quarter and everything. If it is a showcase, they're going to have to show a lot of what is going to be coming next year. And I feel like they tend to shy away from that. Like, they'll show like one thing, but if it's a showcase, I don't know that they've got enough in the tank this year, unless it's a lot of third-party stuff that we haven't really heard of being shown. And we've already got Final Fantasy VII Rebirth this year. So it's like, what other kind of third-party thing have we not really been, unless they've got some sort of weird deal with Xbox or something like that that's going to
Yeah,
happen.
like Gears and Halo are coming to PlayStation this year. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. So
um,
that's why I feel like it might be a state of play. The last showcase that we got was in May of last year, but it
yeah,
was
good
kind of
point.
underwhelming, to be honest.
Yeah,
That it wasn't
outside of Spider-Man
underwhelming.
2, it wasn't really much of anything.
Yeah, and I know we were really hyped about Spider-Man, but
Yeah,
looking back at it, it was like not the greatest showcase. So
no,
we could get another lackluster showcase, but if they went state of play, I think it could be a solid one because there's usually like shorter.
correct. Yeah, it's usually 20 to 30 minutes, 40 minutes at tops. But I do agree with you. I do think it will be a state of play just because, like you said, not a lot to show. Like the only way it's a showcase is if they do what they did in their first showcase like a little bit of like this year, but showcase more about their projects for the future because we forget Wolverine is a known commodity. It's in the cards. It's not going to be this year, but you got to think that's going to be their big 2025. And we have not gotten a good solid look at it. We've just gotten a CG trailer for it, and that's it. If they do a showcase in May, halfway through 2024, it would be time to showcase at least some gameplay for Wolverine to get people excited about 2025. Because, like you said, no major release from PlayStation Studios is coming this year. It is going to be remakes or ports or third party, partnerships, that kind of thing. So if they do a showcase, I feel like it'll be for future titles or stuff down the road. But I do agree with you. I do think it will be a state of play. Actually, you forgot there's one thing. It's a port, but you forgot there is a major release later this year. It's actually going to be in May. It's your game of the every year. Ghost of Tsushima on PC.
Yeah, but that's not coming to
I know,
PlayStation.
I know, but I'm just saying it's a game to get excited about. I know you'll be
True.
playing it again.
Well, not on PC because my PC's like she's limping over here. One thing I did think of, like as you were talking, is the only way that this could be a showcase, Derek, in my opinion, unless they show a ton for next year, is the PlayStation 5 Pro. This could be
Oh,
the
yeah.
big showcase that's like, hey, Silent Hill 2 will be launching with the PlayStation 5 Pro. It runs better on the PlayStation 5 Pro. All of this footage is from the PlayStation 5 Pro.
Yeah.
And these are all the blah, 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 and the Zeldyrons and the teraflops and the, Zarkons and the Xanadu's, that's in this thing.
Zach pulling out all the Z words tonight.
Yeah. It's like... You ain't got to update no drivers on this.
But yeah, that's a good point. That's the only. But I mean, they could still, because wasn't it a state of play that they announced the PS5? Well, wasn't it they announced the Slim? Or no, that was a blog post. I'm trying to think where they announced the PS5, like the digital, and I think maybe it was a showcase. I don't know.
Are you talking about like the original PlayStation 5?
Yeah, like when the launch happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was
Okay.
that was in like a
for some reason I felt like a tech announcement was at a state of play. Maybe it was VR2.
Yeah, I think it was VR2.
Okay. So and
Yeah.
we know how that went.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So if it's a showcase, they've got to show stuff for the future, and they're definitely going to show the PlayStation 5 Pro. I know we keep getting more rumors. I know we keep getting more rumored specs and everything. I did a short last week on rumored specs. So it's like if we get a showcase, it's more likely going to be that very heavy focus on the future instead of what's coming this year. And, when it comes down to it, it's like people want something now.
Yeah.
People want something now. But speaking of the Zeldyrons and the teraflops and the Xanadu's
and the
Zircons, Derek, take us into the PlayStation quickies.
Speaking of the PS5 Pro, a rumor PS5 Pro CPU is on Zen 2 at 3 nm, console size believed to be smaller than standard PS5. Games listed as PS5 Pro enhanced will have a few requirements for it to hit, claims report. Hiroki Totaki has officially begun his role as interim CEO of PlayStation. Dave the Diver has been confirmed for PS Plus game catalog for April 16th. Following that, Tales of Kenzaro Zao will launch into the PlayStation Plus Extra catalog when it releases on April 23rd, just like it will hit Game Pass on day one. A game rising from the ashes that we have not heard for years since COVID. Predator Hunting Grounds is getting a native PS5 version and more content across 2024 and 2025. Bloober Team's Silent Hill 2 has been rated by ESRB, and the release date could be revealed soon. After liberating Malevelon Creek, Helldivers 2 players spot enormous cloaked ships over automaton worlds. Following that, new Helldivers 2 update increases level cap, adds blizzards and sandstorms, and more. And lastly, Bungie will showcase Destiny 2 The Final Shape on April 9th.
Do you know what the final shape is?
The shape of you?
No, I was going to say like a poo emoji, but that works too.
Well, no, I was thinking of, was it the Ed Sheeran song?
Yeah. I'm just saying that Destiny 2 is poo.
Well, yeah. So.
But yeah,
it's been up and down, but yeah, this final shape, yeah, no.
Derek, I like your joke though. It was a good joke. It was a good joke. Yeah. There you go. Helldivers. You liberated the creek finally.
Took it back for democracy.
For democracy. Guys, the quick hits are brought to you by our wonderful patrons. You can go support us over on the Nerd Cave to help us continue to make more awesome shows just like this one. Keep the lights and the mics on. You can become part of the crew over at patreon.com/nerdcave, and you can watch live when we film Eat, Sleep, Anime, which the episode for everybody is out now on the channel. Y'all should go check it out because that intro,
fire,
man, fire. Some good stuff in that episode. Yeah, it's good. A good episode. I'll say that.
Yeah, it was.
Y'all should go check it out. Go comment all your thoughts, all of those things. Now, Derek is about to take us into the Patreon quick hits. He's been hitting the speed bag for a month straight so he can get through this rapid fire. So here we go, baby.
Starting off, Toys for Bob is reportedly working on Spyro the Dragon 4. Whoop, whoop, let's go. Rumor Monster Hunter Wilds release targeting Q1 of 2025. Celeste dev next game Earthblade has been delayed out of 2024. Relic Entertainment will be independently run following Sega sale thanks to external investor. Red vs. Blue movie release date and trailer revealed amid Rooster Teeth's demise. Rest in peace, Rooster Teeth, by the way. Embracer Group's restructuring is now complete. CEO says it's, quote, too early to consider acquiring more studios. You just don't need to acquire any more studios until you got funding to begin with, my guy. Just stop it. CD Projekt Red confirms progress on The Witcher 4 and continues to ramp up with more than half the studio working on Project Polaris. Following that, CD Projekt Red assures fans it won't just be, quote, The Witcher 3 and new clothing. X-Defiant, another game we haven't heard of in a while, gets delayed once more, and it aims to lock a release date up after upcoming short test. Tekken 8's Eddie Gordo is out now for owners of the Character Pass and will be available for everyone to purchase on April 5th, which is this upcoming Friday. I almost said tomorrow, but I'm in that Thursday mode, but now it's in Wednesday. It's 2 days from now. Ubisoft confirms, speaking of layoffs, 45 staff members are being laid off as plans to streamline operations continue. Ark Survival Ascended is set to add Desert Map and DLC starring Carl Urban's Bob. The next Like a Dragon will not be Yakuza Kiwami 3. Dragon's Dogma 2 has sold 2.5 million copies worldwide. In a weird turn of events, Atari buys Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 publishing rights for $7 million. And finally, GTA Plus gets Bully and LA Noire later this year, with Rockstar teasing big GTA Online updates for this summer.
They keep rolling that dough, man, over Rockstar. They're just like, keep pouring it.
Right. Meanwhile, they're gonna strong arm their employees to come back to the office, but that's neither here nor there.
You know. I want to take a little quick jaunt up here on this Embracers Group thing. Dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? You've literally have closed several studios, fired
Laid off thousands of employees.
thousands of employees, and you're over here. It's like, it's too early to consider acquiring more studios.
You shouldn't be buying it. That's what got you in trouble in the first place.
Yeah, it's like, okay, hey, I know you're addicted to drugs. You probably shouldn't do it. It's like, it's too early to consider that. Consider stopping the drugs. It's too early. And it's like, no, you've got a problem. It's like, it's too early to make a decision. And it's like, come on, dude. Like, the thing about like business owners and all of that, to be a CEO, you should know how to run a business.
Yeah.
Just saying, you should know how business.
Just, a wild concept to speak of,
But it's like, why would your model does not work. Your business does not work. That's why you've had to lay off people consistently, because your plan didn't go accordingly.
Right.
So it's like, oh, well, I'm just going to keep doing that. The definition of insanity, as we learned in Far Cry 3, is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. And this dude is insane. It's too early. It's too early. It's too early.
He took those drugs Voss was on in Far Cry 3.
Apparently so. He's over there smoking the Nick. He's like rolling up some buffalo dung and smoking it. He's just like, whoa.
He looks at anything on the ground. He's like, I wonder if I could smoke this.
Make me another Lord of the Rings game that's crappy.
Let's make Gollum 2.
Yeah, Gollum 2. That sounds like a good idea. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, but dude, like you just like, again, like you had to do all this restructuring. So you had to sell off Gearbox, when you're arguably your most productive studio, or most promising studio that you had under your umbrella, off to Take-Two, and you already had to nix the idea of like, oh, it's too early to think. He didn't nix it. He just said it's too early to talk about studio acquisitions, meaning that it's possible down the road once he rights the ship, if it ever rights the ship. But it's like, bro, that should not be in your cards at all. How about you focus on putting out good games?
Well, and it's like Saber Interactive is out of the company too, and there's like two of the only ones that like what do you it's like, what's this trash? What are you
I think the only other promising studio they have under their umbrella, I think, is Crystal Dynamics.
Yeah, and they've sold like half of it.
Yeah, so
like all like the Western games got like sold out of the thing. They've got THQ Nordic, Palion, Easy Brain, Asmodee, Dark Horse Media, Free Mode, Crystal Dynamics, and Eidos Montreal. Gearbox is gone, Deca, and Amplifier, and Coffee Stain, which is the goat simulator people.
Yeah. But still, like, bro, you're concerned. That should be your concern, is making sure that the studios you still have kept are okay and have the proper funding to make the games that they want and make the games good. But yet you're still toying with the idea of buying more studios. Like, this is the equivalent of, remember when we first started back, the Dying Light 2 dudes, like the head honcho was just like, I want to put this in the game. Maybe throw this in the game, and it's like, calm down. I need you to pull the reins back in just a little bit. So
yeah, like, because we've Palion, which is one of the developers, they made Dead Island 2, which did pretty well.
Yeah.
System Shock, Hot Wheels Unleashed, Metroid Exodus, and the last Saints Row game, and Evil West. They made a few others that no one's gonna know.
So a bunch of solid games.
Yeah, they made some good solid games, and then THQ Nordic, Darksiders 3, Biomutant, which didn't go anywhere, Wreckfest, Re-Reckoning, Destroy All Humans, and then SpongeBob and the Cosmic Shake. So they've had some interesting ones, but nothing recently.
Again, they're just relying on a bunch of licensed properties and hoping it hits, which some of them do, but some of them don't. So it's like, how about you create a vision for your companies rather than add more to your pot?
Yeah, it's like, just because you can It's like you can't even buy people at this point. It's like
No.
no one's going to want to sell
Like-
to you because they're going to get closed.
Like that 460 million you got from Take-Two is pretty much going to go to tax write-off. Let's be fair.
Yeah, it's like it's bailing you out.
Yeah.
And then I don't even know, but like THQ, like not THQ, but Crystal Dynamics and Eidos, are they still part of it? I thought they sold them.
I thought they sold one. I thought they got rid of Eidos and they kept Crystal.
Okay. They've got both of them still on their thing, but a lot of theirs is like mobile games.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the rest of the people that are on there are just mobile games. So
The Mecca.
I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, guys, don't trust Embracer Group. That's that's the biggest
Do not
thing.
embrace their group.
No, do not, because it's pokey and it'll make you itch. It will make you itch. It will make you itch. Well, guys, there is the episode tonight. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like it. You can check us out over on all the podcast services and go check out our new show, Eat, Sleep, Anime, which was a ton of fun to do. You don't want to miss it because, guys, we talk about all the good stuff, all the stuff that we've been waiting to talk about for a very long time. We talked on that show, and we'll be having a new episode in the next few months, and it's going to be awesome, guys. But we'll be back next week. This is our new home for this show on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Central Time. So
until my schedule has to change again.
Boy, I'm going to slap you if it does. I'm going to just drive up there and just slap you.
You're gonna drive 3 hours just to slap me. It feels like a waste of gas.
I'm gonna drive up there to slap you, and then I'm going to decorate your apartment.
Fair enough.
Then I'm gonna decorate your apartment. Guys, that's been the Nerd Cave News. This has been Zach
and Felix Brewster.
Y'all have a blessed week. Bye.